picking up where we left off, which was you coming out of the rehab, and now it was right around your, you go from being a minor to 18 years old, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so, well, after I turned 18, I got an apartment. I obviously always had work because I worked for my mom at her restaurant/hotel, and I also got a car, and I was doing really well at the time. I had a son who he was 2, at the time as well. So we moved into our apartment, and for a while I did okay, until it was after his dad came home from jail. And after that, it just kind of, I don't want to say I was doing 100%, like I wasn't fully clean. I was drinking a lot, like with partying, that kind of stuff, on the weekends with friends and stuff, at 18, but I wasn't doing like hard drugs at the time until he came home and he relapsed. It was shortly after that I obviously relapsed as well with him, and things kind of got really bad at that time. Actually, that is also too when I met you. So there was, at that time, that's actually the first time I met Frank. He came into my house because at that time he was kind of like a known drug dealer in our area. And I wasn't doing terrible when I first met him. But I was there like with my boyfriend at the time, and he came in, and that's the first time I met Frank. So,
and let me just tell you, she was hooked right there. She basically
such a lie.
Asked him to leave, and I was like, yo, slow down, I'm not even letting you
He's such a liar. So anyhow, to kind of like speed it up, I got bad. I was really bad into heroin, to the point that I obviously couldn't take care of my son. So I ended up, at one time, I took my son to my mom's and told her I would be back, and I didn't come back for 2 weeks. I didn't call her. I didn't answer when she called me. And I was making a lot of trips to Reading at the time because it was cheaper getting drugs there than it was in our area. So I'll just kind of speed up a little bit though. And also at that time when I was living with his father, the abuse that we had towards each other got horrible. It was really bad. And unfortunately, too, my son was there and witnessed the majority of it. It was just bad. But I ended up basically losing everything. I remember I was so out of it at one point that my mom had fired me from working at her restaurant/hotel, and I ended up showing up there. Like, I was so out of it. I literally, I didn't know what day it was. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you much, but I thought I was supposed to be working. I showed up. I was, there getting loud, causing a scene. And she was like, I fired you. Like, you don't even work here anymore. And it was just, it goes to show you like how much that my mind was just not there. I was just so bad into drugs. I literally was wasting away. My health was deteriorating, and I did lose everything. I lost lost my vehicle. I lost the apartment that I stayed in. I remember I came back the one time from a trip, and the doors were locked to my house, and my mom was like, you need to do something. So I ended up having to go to treatment.
Now, what were you using at this time?
Everything.
Okay.
mostly opiate, mostly heroin, but I was also smoking crack too. But not, but I was just doing anything really, but as long as I wasn't sick, but I was around everything, so I just did it.
What do you think helped contribute to that? Do you think it was, I know there's some people that enjoy getting high, some people that enjoy masking their feelings, some people, a little combination of the two. What do you think your main factor behind using was?
I think for me is, I'm not gonna say, I don't want to say that I enjoyed it, because I remember there were so many times that I kept thinking I don't want to live like this, but I just continued to live like this. I think at the time I didn't understand insanity, doing things over and over again, and getting the same, expecting a different result. But I think for me is I don't know, I feel like part of it was I was maybe masking feelings, and I just didn't really like who I was. Like, I didn't know how to just be me and be okay with just being me. And when I put drugs in my body, I just felt like I didn't either care what other people thought of me, or I felt it was just like a different feeling. So during that relationship, my self-esteem was shot, just because of the verbal and mental abuse also. And I was cheated on a lot. Like, that was just a consistent thing through the whole time that I was with him, is the cheating. So that also, I feel, when I was getting high, I didn't think about those things as often. So the lows was, I feel like, just becoming a person that I never thought I would be. I loved my son so much, and here I was being the worst mother in the world. I couldn't take care of him. I couldn't even be around him. And that wasn't due at this time. There was no CPS involved. I did have custody of him, but he was just, my mom had taken him.
Within the family that...
Right. Okay. Like, there wasn't anything saying I couldn't have him. I just knew I couldn't take care of him at that time.
And now, could you take me up to the point of the girls coming along?
So I actually, your dad, at that time, he actually took me, him and his wife, drove me to New York, and they put me in, it was not they put me in, but they took me to a place. It was a teen challenge. And I was there, and I didn't know there was and they don't detox you. Yeah. So I remember going there, and it was horrible. For like the first month, I probably couldn't get out of bed, just because I was just so sick. But then when I started like coming back, like, my health came back, and I was there for about 3 months, and then I actually got asked to leave. They kind of kicked me out, but it was...
Why was that?
Because I smoked a cigarette. You couldn't smoke you couldn't smoke there, because it was a Christian base. So I somehow got a cigarette and smoked a cigarette, and they kicked me out. So I came home. I lived with my sister. At the time, I was pretty heavy too. But anyhow, their dad went to jail. So as soon as he came home from jail, it was like we got back together and the cycle just started. But before that, let me back up here. I came home from there and that's when I got pregnant. When I left that facility and then he came home from jail, I ended up getting pregnant with the twins. So I was 19 when I found out I was pregnant, and I was 20 when I had them. So I had them. I did pretty well for a couple years. I want to say like the first 2 years of their life, I did well. I'm not gonna, I just turned 21, so I was drinking. I was going out to the bar. So I wasn't fully clean and sober, but I wasn't doing like the hard drugs again. But through my drinking and their dad's drinking, like it was just this horrible cycle that it was like the abuse was bad. We would use together. He would relapse. I would relapse. And then it would just go to shit.
And what point or what led up to the relapse after the girls were born and you said you were doing good for the first couple of years of their life?
So I was doing well.
And what time frame is this? What year?
They were like 2006, I guess it would have been. So I ended up relapsing. To be honest, a lot of it is a blur to me. I feel like I remember things. Like when I think about things, I actually have to try to remember how old my kids were at the time to like put like how it, you know what I mean? Like when it happened.
Yeah.
But so in 2006, around there, I relapsed. And I went to a couple detoxes too. And mind you, I also, I overdosed too a couple times. The one time I had overdosed and it would have been my kid's uncle found me in a bathroom, and he actually gave me like CPR until the ambulance could come and give me Narcan. And then, like I had said, I would go to a detox, go to a 30-day rehab, come home, kind of go right back to the same thing. And then when the girls were probably about 3, 4 maybe, children and youth got involved.